Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahabi Kajura, but first are the headlines. Government preps UNECL to take over from Umeme. US announces sanctions against Guinea's former leader. Blinken stresses partnerships to African innovators. In our sports news today, Messi, Alvarez fire Argentina past Croatia into World Cup final. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabira, has said that government has constituted committees to oversee the transition from Umeme and Eskom operations to the Uganda National Electricity Company Limited. We have more on this report. Addressing the press in Kampala, Nankabira revealed this as part of the ongoing implementation of the power sector reforms targeting to enhance sector performance and provide affordable power to the people of Uganda following a cabinet directive of October 3, 2022. Cabinet, among others, directed the ministry not to renew the concession and privatization agreements for Eskom Uganda Limited and Umeme Limited after their concessions come to their natural end in 2023 and 2025. According to Nankabira, the ministry has already constituted a joint committee to handle the Eskom concession and is in the process of making a similar arrangement for the Umeme concession. The respective committees have been tasked with the planning and management of the end of the concessions to ensure seamless handover of the operations of the assets. The minister, however, noted that the electricity distribution network under Umeme covers a large percentage of the country and it has grown in asset capacity, complexity, and employs about 2,000 staff. To this effect, she called upon the parties to the concession agreements to ensure a smooth transition of all the relevant responsibilities and asset handover in close coordination with the ministry. Apart from that, the United States authorities announced on Friday they are imposing sanctions against Guinea's former president, Alpha Condé.
The sanctions are related to violence against opponents before being ousted in a coup in 2021. The former Guinean leader will have his US assets frozen. All transactions involving Alpha Condé will also be criminalized. Condé became the first democratically elected president of Guinea in 2010, but after 2 terms was accused of rising authoritarianism, culminating in a bloody crackdown against protesters in 2020. According to the U.S. Treasury Department, Alpha Condé, who is now 84 years old, was engaged in serious human rights abuse.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In international news, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has stressed the importance of partnership in remarks to an audience of entrepreneurs and innovators at the State Department at the beginning of the week. As President Joe Biden played host to dozens of African leaders in Washington this week, the White House looks to narrow a gaping trust gap with Africa, one that has grown wider over years of frustration about America's commitment to the continent. Blinken ticked off several ways how the Biden administration is trying to broaden and deepen partnerships to foster innovation in Africa, first by investing in infrastructure that can undergird African entrepreneurship, second, by investing in rising leaders since President Obama created the Young African Leaders Initiative, and third, by fostering greater engagement by U.S. companies. In the 3-day U.S. Africa Leaders Summit that began on Tuesday, Biden administration officials played down their increasing concern about the clout of China and Russia in Africa, which is home to more than 1.3 billion people. Instead, administration officials tried to put the focus on their efforts to improve cooperation with African leaders. White House officials have said that major deliverables and initiatives diplomats speak for big announcements will be prepared throughout the meetings. Away from that, Guinea's former leader, Moussa Dadis Camara, denied responsibility when he took the stand on Monday at a trial of officials implicated in a 2009 massacre.
According to Moussa Dadis Camara, while in court, the September 28th stadium massacre was skillfully orchestrated, prepared from scratch by Mr. President Alpha Conde Sekuba and their executioner Toumba. Camara and 10 other former military and government officials stand accused over the killing of 156 people and the rape of at least 109 women by pro-junta forces at an opposition rally in Conakry Stadium in September 2009. They face charges ranging from murder, sexual violence, kidnappings, arson and looting. Camara himself is charged with personal criminal responsibility and command responsibility. Presiding Judge Ibrahim Sori Tunkara reminded Camara 57 of the charges the court had brought against him. At the time, an unknown army captain Camara seized power in December 2008, shortly after the death of Guinea's second post-independence president, General Lansana Conte, who had ruled for 24 years.
Away from that, moving on in our international news, Amnesty International charged on Monday that many children in Senegal's Quranic schools face multiple abuses as well as financial exploitation, as it urged Dhaka to act forcefully to protect students. In the Muslim-majority nation where religious leaders worldwide, social and political influence, poor children have long been entrusted to Quranic schools called daras for their education. Amnesty said in a report that tens of thousands of students, known as talibs, are forced to beg as part of the system to bring teachers income. They also suffer from health problems such as malnutrition, skin diseases, and often have huge abscesses in their mouths from unsanitary conditions and lack of care. The students also face abuses from some Quranic teachers and their assistants, according to the rights group's report. Teachers told Amnesty that shackling is a common practice, particularly for runaways, in order to prevent their escape. Senegalese President Macky Sall held a meeting with influential Quranic teachers last month where some urged the release of dozens of colleagues jailed over claims they had abused students. We take a quick break. We shall come back with business, health, and sports. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Talking matters business, the International Monetary Fund has announced that Ghana has reached an agreement with the International Monetary Fund on a $3 billion bailout loan as the country faces a severe economic crisis.
Already burdened by high debt, Ghana is facing historic inflation of more than 40% and a collapse in the value of its currency that said the economic difficulties exacerbated since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The IMF mission chief in Ghana, Stefan Raudet, said that he was pleased to announce that the IMF team has reached an agreement with the Ghanaian authorities on a 3-year program under the extended credit facility in the amount of about $3 billion. Raudet added in a statement that the loan aims to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability while laying the foundation for stronger and more inclusive growth. He continued that the agreement must now be approved by the IMF Executive Board in Washington. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo has come under fire for his handling of the economic crisis and in particular for seeking IMF assistance, having once promised a Ghana without aid. Many Ghanaians fear that with this agreement, the government will be forced to impose austerity measures that will further burden the population, which is already facing soaring prices.
In Africa Today Health, with only a few days left for the world to seal a historic agreement to halt the destruction of nature, 15 has seen no major breakthroughs either on the burning issue of the financing between North and South or on the flagship goal of protecting 30% of the planet. According to Elizabeth Mrema, the head of the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, there is a good progress to specifically the Global Biodiversity Framework, although negotiations are about still bumpy road. However, negotiations are expected to take another twist on Thursday when the environment ministers of the 196 members of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity take over from their delegates in Montreal. Chances of approving an ambitious peace pact with nature on December 19th, some 20 targets to halt the destruction of waters, forests, and life by the end of the decade are jeopardy if the draft agreement remains unchanged. In sports news today, an inspired Lionel Messi scored from the penalty spot and Julian Alvarez struck twice as Argentina beat Croatia 3-0 on Tuesday to reach their second World Cup final in 8 years.
The two-times World Cup champions Argentina, backed by a huge majority of the crowd at the Lusail Stadium, produced their best display of the tournament to ensure they will meet the winners of Wednesday's semi-final clash between holders France and Morocco in Sunday's final. Messi, 35, who suffered defeat to Germany in the 2014 final, is desperate to crown his extraordinary career by winning his first World Cup and bringing Argentina a third title to add to those won in 1978 and 1986, and after getting his team on the way to victory with a perfectly struck first half penalty, he made sure of the win by brilliantly creating the third goal. It was Messi's fifth goal of tournament, making him joint top scorer with France's Kylian Mbappe. His 11th career goal, in a record equaling 25th World Cup appearance, also took him past Gabriel Batistuta as Argentina's all-time World Cup top scorer. Croatia, runners-up in Russia 4 years ago, paid the price for some untypically poor defending as they went out in the last four for the second time after their 1998 loss to France in their maiden tournament.
We continue to congratulate the winning teams and wish them the best in other states. Thank you so much for being a loyal audience. For more we started from, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.